Hi, I'm Scott Klinker. I head the 3D design program, and tonight's lecture is part of the spring public lecture series, although it's not very springy out there just yet. But thank you for coming. Tonight we have two guests, Jessie Unterhalter and Katey Truhn, and they've come out for 3 days to do a workshop with the 2D and 3D design department. So this is kind of a rare occasion where we're doing we're collaborating on hosting some guest artists for a workshop. And in this case, the reason why we decided to collaborate between 2D and 3D is because their work is so beautifully situated between 2D, well, a number of things, 2D and 3D design, architectural thinking, and also painting. So they seem to be a very interesting fit for a kind of hybrid space between 2D and 3D. So let me say a few things about their background. They are a Baltimore-based team striving to transform public spaces into playful and vibrant experiences. The artist duo met at MICA in 2001, forming a lasting creative friendship and artistic collaboration. Since 2011, Jessie and Katey have been consistently creating large-scale public murals that they're all-inclusive and socially engaging nature of creating art for the public is a driving force in their art making, inspired by the architectural surfaces of each environment. Their dynamic paintings often curved around corners and spill onto the ground. Their work explores themes of movement and symmetry, inspired by bold colored combinations, patterns in nature, and woven textiles. Some of their credentials: they were selected for the New York Department of Transportation's 191st Tunnel Beautification Project in 2015, worked with Philadelphia's Mural arts programs to create Summer Kaleidoscope, a 400-long foot mural and pop-up park. These projects were covered widely, including articles in the New York Times, Philadelphia Magazine, HuffPost, Gothamist, Flavor Pill, and the Philadelphia Voice. And they've also been featured in a long list of national mural festivals. And they have been generous enough to come and visit us for this joint workshop between 2D and 3D. And they've also allowed us to test their process with 30-some designers, and they've been very, very patient with that so far. So, but over the course of 3 days, we're going to be transforming a space in the student lounge with murals that are generated by the students. So we are very excited to have them. They love public speaking, so. So we're really excited to have them. So please help me welcome Jessie and Katey.
Thanks for the intro, Scott. Hey, everybody. We're definitely nervous. Luckily, it's a small crowd, but thank you for coming. We just need to get in here.
Hey everybody, I am Jessie Unterhalter.
And I am Katey Truhn. And like Scott said, we are an artistic duo from Baltimore, Maryland. And together, over the past 15 years, we've honed our shared interests and individual experience into a public art collaboration, with a focus on transforming unseen urban spaces into neighborhood focal points.
We acknowledge that there is a bit of magic to our artistic partnership that is unique. It is a symbiosis that makes what we do possible. Collaboration has come naturally to us as individuals, and we recognize it in one another immediately.
We first met on Halloween as freshmen, and prophetically, we decided to work together on a shared Halloween costume in which we would be dressed as a single person. It's detailed here in this drawing. Ultimately, the hat that we made, which was constructed out of chicken wire and plaster of Paris, was way too heavy to pick up, let alone actually wear on our heads. But the instinct to work together was solidified in our very first meeting.
We're going to start out our talk with some images of our early work and the environment in which we were developing our style.
For both of us, art was about exploring the city of Baltimore, meeting new people, and collecting discarded objects.
Moving from our suburban hometowns to a city where the economic divide was so profound, we found ourselves drawn to the abandoned and unsung spaces, collecting remnants from the past.
We wanted to tell a story of a vibrancy that once was and honored the discarded. These early experiences in Baltimore instilled in both of us a connection to the city rather than just our campus life, and it sparked an interest in public art.
We found over and over again that trapping these objects inside the context of a white-walled gallery, or even our school's critique rooms, felt like a mismatch and stripped the work of its context. This piece and the next one you're about to see were made in collaboration with our friend Emily C.D.
We were making larger installations in our studio spaces and working with community organizers to place our works outdoors where they could be shared with the public.
We both went our separate ways for a bit, but continued to explore the idea of art as a way to learn a new place and build bridges to underserved and underrepresented areas. I had an internship with the Philadelphia Mural program, and Katey worked at ACLA, a Los Angeles-based arts nonprofit.
We returned to Baltimore in the late aughts and immersed ourselves into the thriving art community. It was rich and experimental with several artist-run warehouse spaces that functioned as studios, apartments, music venues, and exhibition spaces.
It is a uniquely supportive community for experimental and developing art practices. As residents in the H&H Arts Building, a centrally located live-work space for artists, we were surrounded by and participating in constant creative activity. In our home, we hosted performances, exhibitions, poetry readings, film screenings, and created an amazing network of artists who were producing large-scale projects.
In addition to our own work, we often helped others create their pieces, be it through acting, set building, costume design, modeling, and conceiving of our own vignettes or acts for theater. These two photos show our contribution to the Copycat Theater's site-specific immersive theater piece called Rooms Play.
In the format of this play, the audience walked through 50 small rooms in groups of 4. Each room was designed to act and activated by a different artist. We basically had to say the same thing on repeat for over 5 hours. We went a little crazy. But this intimate relationship to the audience has helped us develop our comfort with the performance of making public art. We engage with people as we pass by, often asking questions or wanting to participate in some way.
These 4 stills are from a short film by Tom Borum in which we were aliens engaged in an animated fart battle.
This is a still from Dan Deacon's music video, True Thrush, which functions as a visual game of telephone. Each duo was asked to recreate the props and acted out a scene after watching the previous group's scene once.
And these last 2 were for a feature-length film by the band Snacks. It was epic in the way it brought so many people together for one project. We feel it's necessary to share this part of our lives with you because these experiences shaped us as artists. They instilled in us a desire to make work that is fun, playful, and engaging.
Around this time, I pursued my MA in community art at MICA and worked for 2 years at an arts nonprofit called Jubilee Arts in Sandtown, Winchester.
And I was working in special education at Kennedy Krieger Institute, teaching children with autism. Though these jobs were both fulfilling, we wanted to focus our practice and try to make it as full-time artists.
We were able to build our portfolio and try out a large-scale collaboration mural for the first time by painting the walls of our warehouse that we lived in. We used this piece to apply for our first RFP, or request for proposal, through Baltimore City. At this point, we knew that if we got the gig, we would have to quit our jobs and take the leap.
We applied to 5 open calls that summer, and luckily, one of our designs were selected. This is an image of that first mural, and the theme was about community greening.
This next project was called Sunflower Village. We were awarded a budget of $20,000 through a PNC-funded grant. We partnered with Franklin Square Community, Emily CD, and the Civic Works Community Lot Team. The lot team's mission is to clean up vacant lots and turn them into community green space. Together, we transformed an unused lot into a rain garden with 2 murals, seating, and a series of festive seed flags.
We designed this piece through the process of outreach, listening to feedback, and balancing the needs of the community with our creative vision.
This was and still is a really meaningful project to us. We were working with the community every day for a month, and we were able to make real connections with the neighborhood. This project allowed us to work as managers. We were able to hire people from the community to build scaffolding and to help with mosaic and painting work. Because of this, we were able to establish lasting relationships.
We designed and screen printed over 200 seed flags with the neighborhood. The workshops were held outside so that anyone who wanted to could join in. And this is an image of some teenagers screen printing out front. And this is a little guy named Messiah who helped us out every single day, and he just finished hanging all those flags to dry.
These images show some other projects we did in partnership with Civic Works and Emily. This garden was created on the site of the schoolhouse where Roberta Sheridan, the first African-American public school teacher in Baltimore, taught grammar school. We worked with a fabricator to have our drawings cut with steel, and then with the help of a local welder, we coated and installed them on site.
These are the preparatory sketches, design files, and model mock-ups for our RFP. We basically made a diorama out of construction paper, so we took a very hand-on preschool teacher approach. But it might be our finest work. Just kidding. Okay.
These are some of the sculptures installed in the garden.
And this is another project. It was a fence weaving that we facilitated along the corner of Greenmount and North Avenue in Baltimore. We used recycled t-shirts that we'd collected from the community and cut into long strings.
It brought the community out in a positive way to take back an unused fenced-off lot at the corner of a busy but unwelcoming intersection.
Each person who came out to participate decorated a section of the fence in their own style. It was really nice to see the variety of approaches and care that everyone put into their own work.
Luck and location played a major role in the acceleration of our career after these first large-scale pieces. Open Walls, a mural festival curated by the street artist Gaia, was taking place in Baltimore. We knew that it would be an awesome opportunity for us, so we reached out to see if we could participate. As unknown muralists, slated to show alongside internationally renowned artists, we knew that we had to make the most of the opportunity.
Given the choice of only small or remote walls for the festival, we came back to Gaia with a proposal to paint the floor of a city park. We were striving for a more engaging experience that we couldn't achieve on a vertical wall. For the first time, we began to think about how people would interact with our work as they walked on top of it. We were inspired by game boards, and this started to move our work in a more abstract direction. And this mural has come to define a major component in our visual style, because we're known for bold, abstract shapes and for painting on the ground.
Even when painting walls, we start to bring the imagery onto the ground, effectively transforming the space and encompassing the viewer in the work. And here are some works that include floor painting.
It's also worth noting that these murals we're about to show you were all created for mural festivals, which was a circuit we were thrust into through the experience of participating in Open Walls. We began to understand both the possibility for travel and networking and the potential for larger budget projects with a higher profile. While many of the other artists had foundations in graffiti and street art, our backgrounds were in community art and mixed media installation. This is a picture of our mural for Living Walls in Atlanta.
We painted our first magic carpet mural on a walking trail for wall therapy in Rochester, New York. This is a shot of our mural for the RVA Street Art Festival in Richmond. We started to think of our work as a tapestry and began incorporating thin lines to represent thread. And this is another example of that, and we created it for Powwow, Hawaii. And here is Open Walls 2 in Baltimore. And we really feel that we're so lucky to have had the opportunity to work with so many amazing art advocates across the country. Without all of their hard work, we would not be able to do what we do.
Okay. As a two-person team creating and designing together, we often use symmetry to represent ourselves in our work.
Another recognizable element to many of our public pieces emerged in the small mural we were commissioned to create in our neighborhood in Baltimore. We used plastic bags cut into fringe to encourage a more whimsical relationship to a ubiquitous, problematic object and bring movement into our piece. Our use of recycled materials as a decorative element has grown to include bottle caps and cans in more recent pieces. It also picks up a thread from our installation practice.
While the majority of our work is on a larger public scale, we also work with salvaged and upcycled materials in our studio. This piece, called Deep Dish Diva, is our first symmetrical batik and appliqué work. It was created for an exhibition in Miami during Art Basel in 2013. Working with different materials, each with their own physicality and textures, keeps our collective hand fresh and our relationship to our work more intimate.
In spring of 2015, we were selected for the largest open call for a public project that we'd applied to thus far. It was called the 191st Street Subway Station Beautification Project. The city commissioned 5 artists to paint murals along the 900-foot stretch of pedestrian tunnel leading to the subway.
We incorporated a lot of stripes to accent the curved walls, and we utilized symmetry to emphasize the one-point perspective. For much of the time we were working, the tunnel was in use. We could feel the energy and excitement from the neighborhood as the project became part of and changed this familiar place.
Our growing portfolio of floor paintings made us ideal candidates for Philadelphia's annual Eakins Oval mural. We were commissioned to design and execute a mural with a full-time staff of 20 over the course of only 5 days.
This Photoshop rendering began as a pencil and ink drawing. We begin all of our designs by hand, passing the paper back and forth between us, editing and refining. The lines are inked, the drawing is photographed, and in this stage, we use Photoshop to add color and perfect our angles over the grid feature.
The finished piece closely resembles the drawing, with detail and textures added by instinct when working in the large scale. All of our pieces change slightly, if not drastically, while we're painting. This is usually due to the look and feel of the space in real life, and decisions that have to be made on site.
This mural remains the largest floor piece we've ever worked on, and the largest set of factors and collaboration that we've had to navigate.
The mural was meant to function as a park, and it incorporated activities into the design. In these views, you can see the diamond forms on each side are large game boards for chess and checkers.
There were locations for seating, tables, games, and a sprinkler section, and they were all factored into the design of the piece. The mural functioned as a destination site, and it was really cool to see people interacting and hanging out on it.
These images give a better idea of the scale. You can see how we laid in the colors and what a massive group effort it was.
This piece is a great example of ephemeral art because every summer a different artist gets to re-envision the space. As artists, we believe that art doesn't always need to last forever. People get desensitized to the work, and after a while, they stop seeing it. We feel that public art should continue to surprise people.
After the Philadelphia mural, which marked a significant development in our body of work, we began to see our pieces selected in major open calls and were more regularly receiving commissions and invitations to partner with both art institutions and corporations. This image is a tile rug proposal for a station stop on a Baltimore area light rail. Unfortunately, Governor Hogan pulled the funding for this, and it never happened. But shortly after that, we were selected to design artwork for another station on a different line, and it will be installed in 2022.
This is our proposal for that station. Instead of a floor piece, this work will be printed on glass and be installed as a canopy over the platform. This is definitely our biggest budget and longest timeline yet.
This piece, Noodle in the Northern Lights, is in Buffalo, New York, and this mural was commissioned by the Albright Knox Museum.
And this is a picture of us up on the lift. And we like to think of our installation process as a public performance. As women, we love to operate heavy machinery in the public view. We want the world to see us being strong and capable and fearless. We hope that young girls feel empowered by our work and that we encourage all people to create.
We have learned a lot of logistical and practical skills on these job sites. Managing equipment rentals, arranging travel and accommodations, and balancing a budget are all responsibilities we have to take on. This is a final shot of that piece. Our work takes on new life once we are finished and the community takes ownership over the piece. People start to create their own narratives with the work as it becomes part of their personal experience. Often this leads to further collaboration. On this project, people took it to the next level.
These guys seen here are actually wearing matching Noodle in the Northern Lights t-shirts that they made, and they created a live-action puppet show based on the mural and its shapes. It could be a very proud moment for us.
This piece was a collaboration between projection artist Keith Harrington and the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra. Using elements of our mural, Keith animated a mapped projection onto this historic building.
He choreographed the projections to move with the music of the live orchestra, and it was performed at a public event called Enlighten Buffalo.
We were invited to Russia for a street art biennial and created this batik installation in a studio that they provided for us for 2 weeks.
This is us working in the studio with our assistant. We hand-dyed and painted about 80 feet of fabric for this installation. And we actually never got to see any of Moscow because we were working our buns off in the studio the whole time and would maybe do it differently next time.
More of our batik works were included in an exhibition alongside Evie Falchi and Julia Bland, both artists we admire. This exhibition was at Phoebe, a gallery in Baltimore, and later we showed these works in a solo show at the Delaware Center for Contemporary Art. These pieces are each made to rotate and can be displayed in a number of different orientations.
In these next few pieces, we worked hard to bring an active community and viewer engagement into the work. This piece, called Raza Daza, was created for an exhibition on the history of mural art in Baltimore. Viewed in a traditional gallery setting, we were able to bring a participatory element by returning to our freshman year Halloween costume idea, reviving it over a decade later. We painted a two-person suit and hats for viewers to wear to become part of the mural.
Next up, we were asked to create 3 magic carpet murals along the rail trail in Charlotte, North Carolina. We generated our designs through collage workshops with local residents. We facilitated these workshops at an after-school program for kids and organized a similar activity for adults at a happy hour.
We then invited the community to help us paint in the murals. It was a great way for people to take ownership over these pieces, and it left them with a sense of pride about their contribution.
We got to create our dream project in Boston last summer. It included the entire surface of an abandoned house near Harvard's campus.
We are always super excited to get the opportunity to paint on unique surfaces. It makes us think differently about our approach, and it takes our designs in a new direction that we may not have gone on a flat surface. In this way, we're in constant collaboration with our environment. Getting this opportunity to paint the entire building, including the roof, was a new and exciting challenge for us.
A major component of this mural was our use of recycled materials. We collected over 10,000 recycled beer cans and hundreds of reused plastic bags. We spent hours sourcing, cleaning, and cutting these cans, and here's a shot of us installing them. And this is a fuzzy drone shot of the entire building. Here's another side view.
We were also given a wall of an adjacent building for a community-sourced piece. So we ran a screen printing workshop followed by a wheat pasting event that encouraged the residents to participate in the process of public art.
These are elements of our work that are less visible but incredibly rewarding. Traveling to a new city to make a piece can seem disingenuous or disconnected without the opportunity to meet the community.
In Chestertown, Maryland, we worked with the Bayside Hoyas, an after-school program that tutors at-risk youth for college prep.
Over 2 days, the kids worked together to create this piece and saw an immediate transformation in their community.
The project instilled the idea of art as both powerful and community building for a number of avid student artists.
These next few slides show some work that we did as corporate commissions. These murals and television commercial required the largest compromises in their comfort and style. However, the paychecks from the work like this directly facilitates community-based and passion projects that lack other funding.
This is an image from a 7-Up commercial that we filmed in Brazil. As glamorous as it may sound, we found this job to be the most frustrating and unnatural role for us. The piece you see here is a work created by an art team based on their interpretation of our design. Our role was restricted to acting in the commercial, and we were disappointed to be so removed from the creative aspects of the project.
Hindsight is 20/20, and while the prospect was exciting at the time, it turned out to be a greater compromise than we would have been willing to make if they had been more upfront with their vision. We basically had a Garth moment trapped in front of the camera.
We've found a more creatively rewarding partnership in commissions we've made for Starbucks. This is a mural we made at the National Harbor store in Virginia. And since this piece, we've gone on to design the new packaging for Pike Place Roast, and we got to paint a mural at their headquarters in Seattle.
And these pieces are some of the works that we've been able to fund on our own as a result of these higher paying jobs. This is a mural we facilitated in a local high school, helping students to vocalize their political and social concerns in the aftermath of the election.
In addition to the mural, we worked with the students to design and print posters and t-shirts. We then sold them through a local print fair to raise money for their art department. The money for these prints paid for their school trip to the National Gallery and Hirshhorn Museums in DC.
As women in a male-dominated field, we seized the opportunity to create this piece for last year's Juxtaposed Clubhouse exhibition in Miami. In this context in particular, we felt it was important to be powerful female presence, even though it meant footing the bill for our work and travel.
This is a view of the back wall of that piece. We got to further explore our use of recycled materials, and we did a lot of experimenting on the walls with bags and cans. So it was a great experience.
And it was the first time we got to use vinyl to extend our design beyond the wall in an interior space.
This piece is a mural we created for an exhibition in Baltimore organized by our friend Alex Epstein. This is a passion piece in a local gallery and music venue where we were able to work with friends and experiment with a new format. It's been our dream for a while to get to paint furniture, and so we were given permission to incorporate one of the venue's couches into the space. So that was exciting.
This slide shows 2 of our renderings that we submitted for our application to paint a staircase in Knoxville, Tennessee. To create this densely patterned piece, we researched textile design and folk art from Southern Appalachia. We wanted to create 2 designs with 2 distinct palettes, one that you could see when standing at the bottom of the stairs and the other from standing at the top.
This is a view of our proposal from the top. We were really concerned that our design would be too disorienting and that they would want to go with something more traditional. But we were pretty excited when they chose our design from a national pool of proposals. And then we had to figure out how to do it.
The process of implementing this design was definitely our biggest challenge yet. Working on so many different spatial planes and depths made it difficult to achieve the illusion of a flat perspective.
Another challenge of this piece was meeting our 2-week deadline in the scorching Tennessee sun. We would wake up and start painting with headlamps at 4:30 a.m. to get as much time in before the sun came up.
This was an extreme example of how physically demanding our practice can be. It often feels like a marathon, working 12 to 14-hour days for 2 weeks straight. As people, we tend to thrive on this kind of pressure, and we find it really rewarding to engage our bodies in the process and fully immerse ourselves in our work.
This is a final shot looking up from the bottom. And this is a drone shot where you can see both the tread and the run of the mural. And here is a drone shot from really high in the sky. As you can see, our work has evolved a lot over these past 15 years. Engaging people is still a driving force behind what we do, but we're constantly honing our design sensibility and experimenting with new materials to keep it fresh. And we just wanted to add that Maryland is a lot like Michigan in that it's not considered a centrally located capital A art city. But we find the artists who work in these places to be most generous, innovative, and problem-solving with their work. Our ability to work big and continue to find creative partners is due in a large part to being a part of a community who has always had to facilitate its own opportunities and growth. Thank you so much for having us and letting us share our process with you. That's all. Thanks. Okay.